We have urgent matters, critical matters as a continent, and therefore firm leadership is needed. And this is why Kenya has presented the candidature of Raila AMOLLO Odinga.
What happens when one of Africa's most legendary politicians, a man who has fought and shaped history for decades, sets his sights on the highest seat in the African Union, only to fall short? Imagine this. One of Africa's most recognizable political figures, Raila Odinga, gunning for the top seat at the African Union. The man has the experience, the connections, and the legacy. But guess what? He didn't make it. What went wrong? How did a candidate with such a strong resume end up losing? Was it a strategic miscalculation, a betrayal by allies, or a silent power play by forces beyond his control? This is not just a story about Raila Odinga losing. It's a masterclass in African politics where influence matters more than ambition, and the real game is played behind closed doors. Buckle up, because this is a story of politics, power plays, betrayals, and a race that didn't go as expected. Let's start with the SADC curveball. SADC stands for Southern African Development Community. Now, what is SADC? What does it do? It's a group of 16 countries in Southern Africa working together for economic and political stability. Their backing in an election like this is crucial. But instead of supporting Raila, SADC decided to endorse Richard Randriamandrato from Madagascar. This was a game changer. Why did SADC back out? Simple. Regional interest. They wanted one of their own in the top seat. Kenya is in East Africa, and for SADC, supporting a fellow Southern African candidate made more sense politically. They officially asked all their member states to back Madagascar's guy, leaving Raila scrambling. How did this impact Raila's campaign? It was disastrous. SADC had 16 countries. That's 16 potential votes gone just like that. The AU election needs a candidate to secure at least 33 votes out of 55. Losing SADC support meant Raila had to fight harder to get votes elsewhere. And let's just say that fight didn't go well. Now we go to the second thing that might have made Raila fail in these elections. It's the West African roadblock. SADC wasn't Raila's only problem. West Africa wasn't fully on board either. While some leaders respected Raila, many countries in this region had their own favorites. Why was West Africa hesitant? Because some leaders saw Raila as too aligned with Western countries, making them skeptical. Others preferred a candidate with deeper ties to Francophone Africa. Nigeria and Ghana specifically, the region's big players, didn't throw their full weight behind him. Without a solid West African backing, Raila's campaign was struggling to build momentum across the continent. Now let's come back home to the Kenyan political factor. You'd expect Raila's home country to be fully behind him, right? Well, yes and no. The Kenyan government officially backed him, but it wasn't as aggressive as it could have been. Why? Internal political rivalries. Some leaders in Kenya didn't go all out to campaign for Raila because of past political tensions. Lack of diplomatic pressure also in the Kenya political factor, because unlike past AU elections where governments lobbied hard, Kenya didn't flex its diplomatic muscles enough to get Raila more votes. While President Ruto supported Raila publicly, some people felt it was more of a symbolic backing rather than an all-out push. And in a race like this, every extra effort counts. France and the Francophone factor. That is the fourth reason why Baba might have failed. Here's something a lot of people don't talk about. France and its influence over Francophone Africa. A large number of African countries, especially in Central and West Africa, still have close ties with France. And guess what? France has always played a role in AU elections. Why was this a problem for Raila? Many Francophone countries had their own preferred candidate. Raila's political instance was seen as more pan-Africanist, which didn't sit well with some French-backed leaders. And without support from major Francophone nations like Chad, Ivory Coast, and Senegal, Raila's numbers were looking bad. Simply put, France wasn't in his corner. And when France isn't in your corner in an AU election, you are fighting an uphill battle. Now, let's talk about Raila's fatigue factor. Here's the truth. Raila is a big name in African politics, but sometimes being a big name works against you. Why? Some leaders saw him as part of an old political order. He has been in politics for decades, and some younger AU leaders wanted fresh leadership. He's known for being controversial. Raila's history of political battles in Kenya made some leaders nervous. They wondered, will he bring too much political baggage to the AU? He wasn't seen as safe candidate. Some African presidents preferred a low-profile AU chairperson who won't challenge them too much. Raila, he's known for speaking his mind. This made some African leaders uncomfortable. They wanted someone who would maintain the status quo, not shake things up too much. Now, after the elections, there was some backlash. Let's take a look of some of the aftermath of Raila Odinga's AU chairmanship bid. The recent African Union Commission chairperson election culminated in a significant political event, with Djibouti's Foreign Minister Mahmoud Ali Yusuf emerging victorious over Kenya's former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. This outcome has sparked a myriad of reactions across political spheres, social media platforms like X, and among the general populace. The first reaction was political leaders weighing in, concession and statesmanship. In the immediate aftermath of the election, Raila Odinga graciously conceded defeat, emphasizing the importance of democratic processes. And I quote, "I accept the outcome of the election. We must strengthen democracy in Africa. I wish my competitor, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, all the best." Kenya's President, William Ruto, who had actively campaigned for Odinga, acknowledged the results and extended support to the newly elected chairperson representing the Kenya's government. And he said, "While the outcome did not favor Kenya's candidate, we remain committed to working towards a united and prosperous Africa." So I think basically that means hakuna maandamano. The election's result has prompted discussions about the factors influencing the vote, including regional alliances, diplomatic strategies, and internal political dynamics. While Odinga's loss is a significant moment in Kenya's political narrative, it also serves as a catalyst for introspection and potential recalibration of the country's approach to continental politics. And as the dust settles, the focus shifts to how Kenya will navigate its role within the African Union under the new leadership, of what this means for future engagements on the continental stage.